An old man who ate a little girl. A baby got eaten by dogs, and even a guy who ate his own classmate. You'll see even more terrifying stories in this video. And trust me, when you finish this video, your view of the world is going to change. So, go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button for a long and happy life. We all love old people and think they're so sweet, right? Our first story is about an old man with a fake smile who kidnapped a 10-year-old girl and ate her over the course of 9 days. And after he ate her, he did something horrifying to her parents. Make sure to watch the video until the very end.
Do you know a family received a letter describing exactly how their daughter was cooked and eaten? In 1934, the Budd family opened their mailbox to find the most horrific message imaginable. 6 years earlier, their 10-year-old daughter Grace had vanished without a trace. The letter was from Albert Fish, a harmless-looking old man who had visited their home in 1928. He had promised work to Grace's older brother, but instead lured Grace away with talk of a birthday party. There was no party, just an empty house where he strangled the child with his bare hands. The letter described in graphic detail how he cut her body into pieces, cooked her flesh, and ate her over 9 days. Police traced the handwriting back to Fish, discovering a monster who had tortured and killed children across multiple states for decades. They found needles he had shoved into his own body and rusted tools stained with blood. His confession revealed the true horror of what Grace endured in her final moments. One letter exposed America's most depraved killer.
After researching this more, I discovered he actually did this to a lot of kids. But the good news is that after 6 years, they caught him. He was executed via the electric chair. But the creepy part is that in his final moments, he said he was actually excited to die. And trust me, that story is nothing compared to the second one. In this story, a 6-week-old baby was eaten by dogs. But how did they eat her? Where were her parents? And how did the dogs get to her? You'll find out everything if you watch this video to the end.
Actually want to talk about this woman, who we'll call Alice, because that's her real name. And Alice is about to experience the worst night of her life, because her baby is about to get eaten. So one night, she's on a camping trip with her family, her husband and her 3 kids. And they're at a popular camping spot with a bunch of other families, and they got tents pitched, and they're all hanging out and making dinner. And then Alice's youngest daughter, a baby, she gets tired. And so Alice has to put her in a little crib inside the tent. And then she just goes back to making dinner. And then a little time passes, and suddenly they hear the baby cry. And Alice notices some movement in her tent. And then a dingo runs out of it. So Alice rushes over to check on the baby. But the baby is not in her crib. So then Alice yells, my God, a dingo has my baby!" She then runs out into the darkness, chasing after the dingo. But unfortunately, it's too late. The dingo is long gone. Now, Alice's husband is this guy, Michael. And Alice and Michael and the rest of the families, they start searching for the baby. And eventually, local police arrive. And this kicks off a huge manhunt. And soon, over 300 campers and other people are combing through the campgrounds, looking for this baby and the dingo that took it. And they form a human chain to cover as much ground as possible, but still, they find nothing. So sadly, Alice and Michael return home without their baby, and they are absolutely devastated. I mean, they don't know what to do. And then, about a week later, a random tourist just happens to be wandering around the area, and he stumbles across the baby's jumpsuit and diaper. But still, there's no sign of the missing baby. And unfortunately, at this point, it's clear that the baby is no longer alive.
You guys are going to be shocked by what I'm about to say. After it happened, everyone suspected the mom, and she was actually jailed for 6 years because everyone thought she killed her daughter. But years later, they found the baby's clothes in a wild dog's cave, and she was cleared and compensated with $1 million. The next story is going to make you wary of all your classmates. Because in this story, a guy was eaten by his classmate, and the reason is super weird and will totally shock you.
You know the story of the student who ate his classmate, believing he had turned into a ghoul? His name was Maxim, a quiet kid who loved anime and had an unusual style. He often said he felt different from everyone else, but his classmates thought it was just an act. One day at school, Maxim noticed something strange. Plain water suddenly tasted bitter to him, and smells became overwhelming. He convinced himself he was turning into a ghoul, just like in his favorite anime. During gym class, he had a breakdown noises, echoes, panic. He ran away, hid in a storage room, and in complete delirium started screaming that he was losing control. The next thing he remembered was being at home, eating the corpse of his classmate, and he liked it. Chaos erupted instantly. Doctors, teachers, and parents rushed to the scene. This is a real story. You can even find clips by searching on TikTok for "the student who ate his classmate." Later, specialists explained that it was a severe psychotic episode triggered by stress and self-delusion. His parents fought for a long time to help him recover, and now Maxim is at home, learning to distinguish fantasy from reality.
After hearing that, I'm sure you're going to be nice to all your classmates now, right? Especially the people who love anime. We all love Disney, right? But imagine this. The next story happened at Disney World and turned that place from a happy zone into a horror zone. In 2016, a 2-year-old child was eaten by an alligator. Make sure you watch the video to the end.
Times Disney wasn't the happiest place on earth, part 1. So let's talk about the time a boy died from an alligator attack. In 2016, Lane Graves, along with his family, were staying at a resort in Disney World. At this resort, there's a beach called the Seven Seas Lagoon. This is actually a picture taken about an hour before the attack, so yeah, here's what it looks like. There were signs posted that said no swimming, but there were no signs warning of alligators. At around 9:20, Lane, as well as his mom, dad, and older sister, were wading around in the water. Lane's dad heard a splash, and he turned around to see Lane in the mouth of the gator. He tried pulling Lane from the gator's mouth, but it was to no avail, and the gator ended up swimming underwater with Lane's body. Lane's lifeless body was later found submerged in the water, with only the initial attack wounds. According to reports, at least 2 people tried to warn Disney employees about seeing a gator. It's said that they reached a settlement with Disney, but I don't know how much.
I'm sure the father's pain is still unbearable to this day because he saw everything with his own eyes and couldn't do anything. So, spiders, I want you to take care of yourselves and never go into areas where the staff warns you not to go. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and thanks for watching this video. Bye!